Hello, I'm Jared McNett, a political reporter for the Sioux City Journal and a frequent panelist on the On Iowa Politics podcast. I'm here today to chat with Republican State Senator Jason Schultz, who is running for re-election in Iowa Senate District 6. Hello, Jason.
And good morning to you. Thank you for the opportunity to visit.
Absolutely. So I think maybe the easiest way to start is to just get a little background about you for anyone who might not be familiar with you. How old are you? What sort of work do you do outside of the legislature, and where do you currently live?
I'm Jason Schultz. I live in Schleswig with my beautiful wife, Amy, and I have two girls in college, one at Creighton, one in Josie's at Creighton, and Cameron is at Iowa State. I'm a small family farmer. I farm with my parents yet, farm the family farm, and I've always been that farmer who has a job in town. It's just now town seems to be Des Moines and Western Iowa as I travel to visit constituents.
And how long has that farm been in the family for?
Well, I was just on the Century Farm this morning here, so it's 120 years or so.
Very nice. And what initially made you want to run for the legislature?
I didn't like the direction Iowa was going. I didn't like the direction the country was going. Remember, this would have been about 2007, and my father and I talked, and we came to an agreement that if we didn't like the direction things were going, and that'd be fiscal and constitutional issues, that somebody has a responsibility to get in and offer an alternative that would look the direction we thought things should go, and it's gone very well since that day.
Yeah, and you've served in the Iowa House and now the Iowa Senate. So how many terms have you served total?
It's been, well, there were three 2-year terms in the House. The first 2 years were in a Democrat trifecta, where I saw the effects of having the Democrat Party in charge of both chambers of the legislature and the governor's office. The second 2 terms, we had Governor Branstad back in office, and a Senate Democrat majority with a House Republican majority. So I've seen split government. I've been in the majority and the minority in the House and in the Senate. In 2014, my friend Senator Nancy Butker decided to retire, and she supported me to run for that Senate district then. I went into the Senate in the minority. We spent 2 years that way. I took the lessons I learned in the House about building relationships and procedure and the way things work, and spent that first 2 years in the minority building relationships and learning the new system. And then in the election of 2016, we gained the Senate majority, and I was part of a team that started turning the direction of Iowa around. And I think after 6 years, you can see a lot of difference in fiscal management, in deregulation, and in the constitutional protections that we've worked in.
What sort of perspectives did it kind of give you, seeing those sorts of shifts and having to govern in a lot of different situations or legislate in a lot of different situations, whether it was, as a minority party member, as a majority party member? Did you pick up any perspectives from all of that?
Oh, absolutely. And this starts with the premise that 90% or maybe more of our bills are actually bipartisan, if not unanimous. They go to keeping Iowa running efficiently or to the best of our ability. I learned in the minority that when you have a nonpartisan, non-ideological issue, you need to build relationships with somebody in the majority to carry that bill for you and to promote it. And I've learned that once you become a majority caucus member, it is still in Iowa's best interest to have relationships with minority member Democrats, so that when they do have a constituent issue or a non-ideological issue, that it may be in Iowa's best interest. So you need to keep relationships open both directions. I learned that when you are in the majority, the people of Iowa have decided that there's a direction they want to go, and you go boldly that way. So when you do run into opposition, you listen to it, you decide whether your feet are still firmly planted in the right position, and you drive forward. So both directions, where you do need to take a philosophical stance, and sometimes where it's just business and you need to treat each other as equal office holders.
And in your time in office so far, what legislation would you say you're proudest of having worked on?
It'd be the collective bargaining bill in 2017 that I floor managed. It was the foundational bill that started turning the direction of Iowa back to putting taxpayers first. That the people who are paying the bill should receive the services, and that whether you work for government or whether you work for the private sector, the experience should be as close to similar as possible, and the taxpayers should be receiving the most for their dollar.
And if you were to be reelected in November, what issues would you make your top priorities in 2023?
It would be continuing the work that we've already done, fiscal responsibility and developing the Iowa economy, which right now is becoming an object of jealousy of other states. We are the most fiscally sound state going into and coming out of the pandemic. We are attractive to businesses as far as deregulation, but also protecting constitutional rights, Second Amendment firearms rights, the right to life, just the ability to live as a free American and a free Iowan here in Iowa. So we would continue the work we've already accomplished a lot on, and would continue.
Okay. And the other day I talked to the other person who's running in this race, Mr. Davis, and as a libertarian candidate, he even acknowledged that you all might have some overlap and some things that you agree about, maybe a little bit differences in, like, how far one way or the other. But what do you think sets you apart from your challenger in this race?
I've always been attracted to the libertarian mindset, and I share a whole lot of overlap. As he said, he's a very fine man, and I plan to continue visiting with him regardless of the results of the election, because he's a good man and very intelligent. But I've always considered libertarian to be conservatism without a moral compass, meaning items such as life. You have some pro-life libertarians, but the fundamental principle of libertarianism is that baby in the womb isn't a person yet, and I fundamentally disagree with that. So while we have a lot of overlap, I still consider morality based in Christian fundamental principles to be the underlying premise of conservatism. So it would just be conservatism versus libertarianism. A lot of overlap, but I believe there's a moral compass in conservatism that's always held me in that philosophy.
And then kind of ultimately putting a button on everything, why do you think voters should go with you in November?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've spent 14 years, and a lot of people think that's too long, but I'd like to let you know that the first 6 years we're learning the lessons, building relationships, and I'm afraid making the mistakes that I needed to learn from. Once I moved to the Senate, I took the lessons that I learned from my actions, both correct and incorrect, and learned how to legislate more effectively, how to more effectively represent the constituents. Since my time in the Senate, I have been a fundamental part of the team that we've put together that has changed the direction of Iowa for the better, and we have a long way to go. We do not believe we are close to finished making Iowa a better place. I am a fundamental central part of that team, and I'm asking that I bring the relationships. I'm asking that voters consider that I bring the relationships, the experience, and the position as a Commerce Chair and members of other influential committees. I can bring that to Western Iowa and Senate District 6.
Okay, Jason Schultz, thank you for taking the time out to chat with me.
Thank you for the invitation. I really do appreciate this.